Hello everyone, I'm Genesis Simajibilio, and our topic for today is about writing and effective learning outcome and objectives. And as we start our... Who are you? Hello everyone, as stated by someone, our topic for today is about writing effective learning outcomes and objectives. And let's start! Before we formally start this discussion, let us consider these learning objectives that we must be able to do after this discussion. The first one is define learning objectives and outcomes. The second one is organize the different components of Bloom's taxonomy. Third is be able to design 3 learning outcomes and objectives. The integrated course design is composed of 4 components. The first one is learning objectives and outcomes. Second is feedback and assessment. Next is teaching and learning activities. And the last one is situational factors. First, we need to define learning outcomes. Learning outcomes is also known as the learning goals, a statement of what the learner is to learn, what the learner is able to do after the learning process, or the end result of the learning process. The learning objectives are the objectives that guide your instructional design. There are situational factors that you must consider: the specific context of the teaching or learning situation, the expectations of the external groups, the nature of the subject, the characteristic of the teachers and the students. We will focus now on intended learning outcomes. Where to start when designing learning outcomes? It's like dreaming. Dreaming of what you want your students to learn from the course or the entire year of the course that the students will have or acquire after the discussion or the course that they don't have before the course started. Why there is a need to design an intended learning outcome. Number 1, to ensure that the students are the focus of our teaching. Number 2, to guide the teachers in knowing what is to be assessed. Number 3, to guide the teachers in choosing the right learning activities and teaching method that is aligned with the course. And number 4, to communicate expectations of learning outcomes to the learners, employers, parents, and others. Traditionally, learning outcomes are organized as the cognitive or the knowledge and understandings, the psychomotor or the skills, and lastly, the affective or the values and attitudes. We will now proceed on writing learning objectives. We must always consider the alignment or the proper alignment for this. The objective must be connected to the content, and the content must be connected to the activities, and the activities must be connected to the assessments. We can also use the ABCD format in writing our learning objectives. The A stands for the audience, or our students, the main focus of our teaching. Letter B, the behavior, it has connection with our Bloom's taxonomy. Letter C, the condition, and letter D is the degree of proficiency. Don't forget to start with the STEM when you are writing learning objectives. Like, by the end of this lesson, students will be able to. What is Bloom's taxonomy? Here is some picture of the pyramid composed of the Bloom's taxonomy. And now, the lowest part of the Bloom's taxonomy is the word remember. It is recalling facts and basic concepts, like the use of the word define, duplicate, list, memorize, report, or state. The second is understand. It is about explaining ideas or concepts, which use classify, describe, discuss, explain, identify, locate, recognize, report, select, or translate. And the third is apply. We use information in new situations, like execute, implement, solve, use, demonstrate, interpret, operate, schedule, sketch. The fourth is analyze. Draw connections among ideas. Differentiate, organize, relate, compare, contrast, distinguish, examine, experiment, question, or test. This next second highest is the evaluate. It is justifying a stand or decision, which use appraise, argue, defend, judge, select, support, value, critique, or weigh. And the highest level of Bloom's taxonomy is the create. It is producing new or original work, which includes design, assemble, construct, conjecture, develop, formulate, author, and investigate. We also have the Fink's taxonomy of significant learning, which is composed of 6 components. First one is the foundational knowledge, which is about understanding and remembering information or ideas. Number 2 is the application. It includes skills, thinking critical, creative, and practical thinking, and also the managing projects. Number 3 is integration. It is about connecting ideas, people, and realms of life. Number 4 is human dimension. Learning about oneself and also the others. Number 5, it is about caring, developing new feelings, interests, and values. And last, the number 6 is learning how to learn. It is about becoming a better student, inquiring about a subject, or self-directing learnings. We must also consider, when we are writing learning objectives, it must be measurable. We must avoid the use of the words understand, learn, know, and etc. that are immeasurable. And also, we must make it meaningful, that can be useful in applying in real-life situations, and useful as a student. The whole objectives must be composed of these 3 parts: the performance, or do what, the criteria, to what standard, and the condition, under what conditions. Here's the example from devleadpink.com. Given a microscope, identify the nucleus with 90% accuracy. Given a microscope is our condition, identify the nucleus is our performance, and with 90% accuracy is our criteria. Common mistakes that we must consider when making our learning objectives: showing formal objectives to the audience, using objectives that are not measurable, mistaking activities for objectives, and realistic expectations. Mathematics major, so I will make my learning objectives about the specific topic called operation on integers. My first objective is this: identify the rules of operations on integers. This is an understand part of the Bloom's taxonomy. The second one is solve problems using operations on integers, which is scope of applied part in Bloom's taxonomy. And number 3 is relate the operations on integers in a real life's application. So this is included in the analyze part of Bloom's taxonomy. Once again, thank you for listening, and I hope that you've learned something about our lesson, writing effective learning outcomes and objectives. Bye-bye.